in your life over the past 2 years, it's such a great example of an evident transformation. It's such a great example of someone who God got a hold of and got a hold of God. He got a hold of you and you got a hold of him. He said yes to you. He initiated that, but then you said yes to him. So I have some questions for you. And the first question is, can you tell us about how did you first get here? How did you get to City Youth? How did you get to CTC?
So one of my friends, Corley, she first brought me here. She used to come. She was an OG here. But she first introduced me to City Youth, so I came here with her. And then after that, I've just came here ever since. Started going here on Sundays as well, and yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us what was the first thing that you noticed, or what was something that made you want to come back? And it could be something extremely practical. It could be a spiritual thing. But what made you want to keep coming back?
I would say there's two really main things, actually. I would say just the atmosphere, not only in here, but out there. No matter where I was never, alone. I was never standing alone. I always had people coming up to me, introducing themselves, just trying to get to know me. And honestly, when they were speaking to me, it's like I've known them my entire life. It was just so extremely welcoming and just a good atmosphere, good people. Yeah, and another thing I would say is worship. The atmosphere during worship was unreal. Like, all the other churches I've gone to, worship hits, but here you feel the presence of God every time.
Good. Worship hits here. That's good. Good to hear. So one thing I wanted to really talk about is, now you grew up in a Christian home. So the truth is you've had experiences with the love of Jesus growing up, but you and I had a conversation, and you talked about specific encounters you had with Jesus, or moments you had in the presence of God that really started to transform the way you think, or just intimate moments that your mind can always go back to. Tell me about maybe one or two of those moments that you had.
So if you guys know what a prophetic prayer is, it's basically just the word from God through someone else. So I've gotten that a few different times, and when the first time I got it, it really just changed my perspective and really my relationship with God. It helped me just strengthen our relationship personally and spiritually. It just grew right after that.
Good. So what you're describing, someone was praying for you and they gave you a prophetic word, meaning someone was praying for you and God began to speak to them for you, and they said what God was telling them to you, right? Yes. Very common around here. That's something we firmly believe in. But the interesting thing about that, and I've been here for different experiences that you had, it's not like when that happened, you went chasing around moments where someone can speak to you on God's behalf over and over and over. What I did notice after you had a lot of those encounters, you began to actually have a hunger for more of the Word of God. Mm-hmm. And instead of waiting for another person to talk to you about what God had to say, you actually started to read what God had to say every single day, whether it's with friends, whether it was by yourself and here in the house. Tell me about that.
Yeah, after I actually started wanting to grow my relationship with him, it was almost like just my routine, almost. I just wanted to deepen my relationship, and by doing that, you have to get into the Word.
Good. So how did you start doing that? Was your first thing reading a Bible reading plan by yourself, or did you do that with your small group or with friends? Tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. I do small groups, I do devotionals with our small group. That was how I really started wanting to do it myself, was starting it with other people. And I just have friends that are so good and keep me accountable for reading the Word.
Very good, very good. And what difference has that made in you? Now, you're at an age where where you see all these statistics of mental health, emotional health, people making terrible decisions that oftentimes like really rock them or their families. How would you say that your time in the Word and your time in the house of God and your time of worship that you choose to have day after day, how has that affected you?
Honestly, I just feel happier. Like, the joy I get from the Lord is just amazing. Like, words don't even describe it. So I would just say, like, emotionally, I just feel way better. Yeah.
Good. Would you say that your desire to read the Bible grows the more that you do it?
Oh, definitely. The more I really get into the Word, the more I really strive to want to read more. I'm constantly wanting to learn, like, the different books, the different gospels, just everything about Jesus. I want to learn about it.
Good, good. Now, one thing, I'm going to shift over just a bit, and we're talking about your relationship with Jesus as an individual, but there's a certain thing that you've modeled here that is incredibly unique. One thing that when we go to youth conferences and we sit in youth leadership sessions, one thing that's always asked and one thing that's always said is how do you get athletes to come to church? How do you get athletes to come to church? Or I know a bunch of people who moved their youth to Sunday night because they're like, there's no practices and no games on Sunday night, and we do that. But what I've come to discover is, one, if you have a program that is that desired, then students will come no matter what, whether they're an athlete or not. But the other thing is, there's also more than just youth programming opportunities to be in the house of God. And one thing I've noticed, so you are a 2 varsity sport athlete and captain of at least one, or captain for both? Captain for both. Give it up for the captain, first of all. Give it up for the captain. Wrestling and football. No, I'm just kidding. It's soccer and volleyball. And she has a state playing game tomorrow night. So we're praying for that. All right? She's our goalie. Okay? But one thing, Dakota, throughout your seasons, you never go missing. You never go missing. You make it here on youth nights that you can, but we tell you, go to your practices, be faithful to your team, but also very often, even coming off road trips and road games and tournaments and things, it's so common to see you serving on Sundays out at front, seeing you here at Awakening, seeing you hang out with other youth students and youth leaders throughout the week. What is it that made you continue to make that a priority despite the fact that there's such a vigorous and such an involved schedule with your varsity sports?
Well, first of all, it is challenging. It's hard to juggle everything at once, but honestly, when I don't serve, I just feel like empty. I love serving. Like, it's one of my favorite things ever, especially on Sundays. Just people who I serve with is so fun. Miranda, she's always so fun to serve with. But honestly, if I don't serve, like, I don't know, it's like weird. I love, like on Sundays when I'm greeting people, I love like seeing new faces every day, and that like brings me so much joy, is like seeing those new faces and actually like encountering new people want to start following the Lord.
And the other thing that I love is you prioritize your Sunday worship. You know, when you serve, you're also like in service. And a lot of people, they say, I just feel so distanced from God because I can't come to youth because of sports. Well, we are a church, first of all, and Sundays is where it all comes together. Sundays is the greatest day. So was there a transition for you? Was it initially tough, or was it natural for you to, because a lot of people in this room, it's easy for them to worship on a Wednesday, but a little tougher on a Sunday, maybe because their parents are here, maybe because there's more faces and more people in the seats, or it's less familiar. Was that a tough transition for you, or was it pretty natural?
I would say because I do it with some of my best friends, it's really easy because we just all go up all together, and it's just like, it's natural for us. It's just like, if we're not in the front, it's not the same.
So for you, reading the Bible, serving, and worshiping is better in community.
Yes, definitely.
You guys notate that? You guys believe that? Is that good? Good job, Dakota. One more thing. First of all, is there anything else you want to share? Or do you have a life verse or anything that they can write down, something that you really ministers to your heart?
Yeah. So in our small groups, Miss Amanda actually made us memorize a verse. It's Proverbs 18:10, and it's just stuck with me since she's told me to memorize it. It is, "The Lord is a strong tower; the righteous run to it and are safe." And I just love that verse. It's stuck with me ever since she's told me to. So
Very good. And that's, what is it?
Proverbs 18:10.
Proverbs 18:10.